Time for
My favorite vegetable.
The Greengrocer. Better for you and the planet. ABC Radio Perth and WA.
So this segment is all about environmentally conscious choices and, you know, what we do with the food we eat. And today, nutritionist Jack Gibson is going to give you some tips on how to use the food you don't eat, how to upcycle it or reuse your food scraps in an effort to take care of your surroundings. So I want you to challenge him on 0437 922 720. Is there a food scrap you have excess of? Can it be used? Well, if anyone can tell you, nutritionist Jack Gibson can. Hi, Jack. How you going?
I'm very well, Christine. Now, look, I don't know how excited you get about recycling food scraps, but I'll try and downplay it so you don't go into labour, because we don't want to have that happen again. So
Exactly.
Look, when it comes to kitchen junk, we'll just play it cool, okay?
Oh, you're a good man, because honestly, I am the Donkey Kong of banana peels, and I tried to soak them in water and water my plants with them. My plants were like, plat, plat, plat. This is too strong. What are you doing to me? And I never went back. Look, it's a good idea because we're all, you know, time poor and, you know, the cost of living, etc. So what do you have the most scraps of in your house, Jack? Pesto containers. Is that...
pesto. Well, I'm on the glass jars now, so I try not to have too many containers around. But look, I think as well, you know, it's important that we don't sustainability shame when it comes to talking about this kind of stuff. So, you know, while it is great to be able to find a use for those byproducts of cooking and stuff, you know, it's not to say that you sort of have to feel guilty about, you know, not recycling them. But I mean, for us, the big one is just fresh food offcuts and scraps. So, you know, there's a number of sort of valuable compounds within these foods that we can actually take advantage of and recycle for some pretty great benefits. And then obviously anything else that you sort of aren't going to use, you know, kitchen compost is the next sort of best thing where that natural breakdown happens. Yeah. But yeah, for us, it's always veggie scraps. My wife's a vegetarian, so we've got plenty of that stuff kicking around constantly.
Okay. All right. What kind of scraps are we talking about? What have you got?
Well, I'm a big slow cooker. So I think I've mentioned this before. I love using my slow cooker. So, you know, onions, garlic, carrots, celery, all those kind of, you know, nice base vegetables. When I say base vegetables, I mean those vegetables that are fantastic to be, you know, cooked down and built up into a nice slow cooked meal.
But boring on their own. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of those. Look, you know, I tend to not peel my veggies where possible. The concentration of nutrients in the outer layer of vegetables, onions in particular, which we'll talk about, is often at a higher concentration than the rest of the fruit or vegetable body. So obviously, you know, you're not going to chomp into a banana, but where possible, you know, I try not to peel. So, you know, that in and of itself also reduces, you know, that waste that we sort of produce.
That makes sense. All right, getting some really good texts and calls already. Celery leaves. What would you say, Jack?
Celery. So the challenges are coming in. Just quickly on the heavy cream, you can actually churn it to make butter. So there's that one sorted.
Okay. Anything else for the heavy cream? Because
buttermilk as well. So you get two for the price of one. So you get the butter and the buttermilk. Once you churn it, it separates and you can split them up. On the celery leaves, this is an easy one. So you can either again compost them or give them to a rabbit or a herbivorous pet. Otherwise, pop them in the oven on a low temperature, dehydrate them, and then blend them with salt, and you get a beautiful celery salt. Delicious.
Whoa, I've not even heard of that.
Super tasty. It's gorgeous. It's I'm not sure if you've had like celeriac before, which is a root vegetable, really good for making like mash and stuff.
I haven't, and I didn't know how to say it either. So yeah, right.
Yeah, celeriac. So it's quite a gastro veg. You know, you have a celeriac puree and sort of smoosh it along your plate with a spoon, make it look all fancy. But yeah, celery salt is definitely what I would be doing with those celery leaves. Big time.
Okay. Tea leaves is your next one.
Tea leaves. Well, so tea's really high in tannins. So tannins are the compounds that essentially can stain our teeth. They're found in wine. They have antioxidant properties, but they're also really good for, and this was mentioned before, dyeing. So dyeing material. You can do some activities with the kids and dye the outer shells of eggs. But off the top of my head, in terms of tea leaves, those would probably be the biggest ones.
Okay, that's really good. It's 1:45. So far, you've not beaten him, everyone. Is there a food scrap that you have excess of? Jack will tell you how to use it well. 0437 922 720. So tell us about the onion skins. So what can these be used for? So dyeing, am I right in thinking I've seen a video at some point where brown skin turns clothes purple, or is that my brain?
I'm not sure about. I'd have to ask my wife's mum about that. She's right into knitting and clothes making, so she would know. She's one of those people who loves the Women's Weekly sort of thing, so she would have all of these tips and tricks you can do. But in terms of onion skins, what I'm interested in is the quercetin. So quercetin is you may have heard of it if you sort of take supplements and stuff. It's a very powerful antioxidant that has been associated with not treating, but complementing or supporting a number of conditions. So it's got a significant amount of anti-inflammatory properties, and onions are one of the highest sources of quercetin. Now, the concentration within the onion does vary, and it increases the further out of the onion that we go. So you'll find it typically in those outer layers, so this outer layers of skin, and also the dry skin. So the recommendation around onion skins would be first and foremost to actually save that brown area or the brown outer skin. Again, like we did with the celery, dehydrate it. And you can do this with the celery leaves, actually. Dehydrate it, blend it up in salt, and actually make a flavoured salt that you can use to put on your food or seasoned meats. And you'll actually get the benefits of the quercetin because you're transferring that compound into the salt, and then you're getting that benefit there as well. Now, if salt isn't your thing, and obviously there are people out there who are on sort of low salt diets, and some people try not to add excess salt to their food, I would be saying get your carrots, get your garlic skins, get your celery leaves, all of these things that you would usually throw away, pop them in the fridge, build them up for a week or so, and then actually use them to make a stock. So use them to make a veggie stock, and the quercetin will sort of transfer into the liquid as well. So you do still get some of the benefits, and you'll get that beautiful brown colour.
And quercetin is a great word for Scrabble, and that's all my brain could say while you were talking about that. But that's really interesting. Sarah said celery sticks, but you can chuck the base in water and they'll grow again, won't they?
Yes, I went out to the compost the other day, and I love red cabbage. So I eat a lot of coleslaw. I make my own coleslaw, and I went out to till my soil, to till my compost, give it a bit of air, and there was a purple cabbage growing in there. So I'd thrown out a base, and this purple cabbage has just had a second lease on life, and it's started to flower. So I've taken it out, I've gone into the backyard, and I've planted it in a pot. So I've got my purple cabbage from the compost growing in a pot out the back.
Oh, what a resilient red cabbage. He deserves a home. Now, what else have we got? Now, Michael in West Perth, is there anything I can do with carrot scraps? And this is obviously if you don't have a rabbit in your neighbourhood.
Yes, and look, and this is a common one. You know, you're making the offcuts from carrots and those root veggies that we typically use in stews and soups and the like. Obviously, coming into winter as well, you're going to find that you will have a lot of those. But again, I would say saving those. If you've got kids, it's a great little science experiment. Popping the carrot tops on a piece of cotton wool in water and watching them grow. Popping them on the windowsill. Or if that's not your thing, again, I would say use them in stock.
Okay. By the way, brown onion peel makes yellow clothes. So I was at the wrong end of the colour spectrum, just for the record. I very quickly must tell you all, it's 10 minutes to 2. Jack Gibson is with me, nutritionist. We're talking about best uses for food scraps. But 2 severe weather warnings have just been issued. The first one is for the Greater Perth area. So severe thunderstorms have been detected on the weather radar near Balladura, Hillary's, Stirling, Wangara, Kalamunda and Midland. They're moving southeast. So the forecast is going to affect Joondalup, Mundaring, Sawyers Valley by 2:15 and Parkerville, Stoneville and Welshpool by 2:45. That's a really great broadcast, and you can plan around it if you're going home. The second one is for the Lower West, Great Southern and Central Wheat Belt. So heavy rain with thunderstorms developing across the area. Let me see. Heavy rainfall locations not listed for that one. But look, hopefully you get the rain that you need, because I know so many of you are hanging out for it. Coming back to food scraps, Justin said rhubarb leaves. That's very specific.
Ooh. Now, my understanding on rhubarb leaves is that they're actually toxic.
Oh.
So, yeah. So when it comes to rhubarb leaves, I would be saying toss them.
Oh,
or pop them in the compost. Yeah, I probably wouldn't be using them to. I wouldn't be using them to make food, or consuming them, or giving them to pets. I think they're quite high in oxalic acid, which can cause kidney stones and the like. So yeah, I would be saying with the rhubarb leaves, probably best for the compost.
All right, that's a really good one. Now, Tony from Stelling says he never has food scraps because he has a Labrador. So that's good. And on the rain, just drove through Joondalup, Belden, Craigie and Padbury. And I'm tipping the roads are flooded, says JJ. So it is pouring. Whereabouts did you grow up over here again, Jack?
I grew up in Fremantle, so North Freo, right on the river, the Derby Yugan there, and I went to John Curtin College of the Arts in Freo. So,
nice. Very good. All right, coming back to this, because gosh, I'm all over the shop. Coffee, is coffee good for your skin? What do you think, Jack?
Well, I think it, not for your face. It's good for your skin if you can incorporate into like a coffee scrub. So combining some coffee grounds with some carrier oil or like a coconut oil can be very beneficial for your skin. So coffee is, again, high in those plant compounds that have antioxidant properties. So they can reduce oxidative stress. They can clear up free radicals, which basically means, damage to our cells. And there's a compound in coffee called caffeic acid. So this does actually act as a stimulant for our skin as well. Now, I'm not a dermatologist, so when it comes to is it going to be good for everyone, can't comment on that. But there are properties within the compounds in coffee that can make it beneficial for our skin. So if you are going to be going and exfoliating your skin and using the coffee scrub, great. If that's not your thing, coffee grounds can also be great for rhododendrons and azaleas if you're a bit of a gardener, because they are quite high in acid. So I sprinkle a little bit of coffee grounds on my azalea bonsais just to give them a little bit of a boost. Helps them to get their nutrients from the soil.
Aha, that's very cool. Hey, Sarah said, what about too much milk? Is it true that if I dilute it, it can be used to water plants? What would you say to that, Jack?
Ooh, too much milk, diluted water plants. I think you may have me stumped on that one. I think there's obviously going to be amino acids from the proteins and the like in the milk that may be beneficial for plants. But my concern would be that you would be attracting bugs.
Fungal gnats.
Sort of.
You know what?
Yeah.
You know what I've just remembered, Sarah? Sorry to dob in the team from Sir Charlie Gardner Hospital, but the mental health nurses who work very hard looking after people who are having the worst day of their life, they've got a Monstera, and one of the nurses poured her oat milk coffee into the Monstera and it decimated the thing. It stank. So my husband brought it home. I did a full transplant, new pot. It went through transplant shock and it was revived. But yeah, so probably no milk for the plants is coming to my memory.
All right, that's a good. I'll note that one down.
Oh, Jack. Hey, any shortcuts if you have a slow cooker? You love a slow cooker. When it comes to upcycling scraps, what can you chuck in there and forget?
Anything. Sometimes I'll just sort of soccer ball or football things from the fridge straight into the slow cooker without even looking. It's that easy. No, look, the slow cooker. I'm such a big fan on the slow cooker for the way that it breaks down the food. So particularly when it comes to proteins, they just are so much more digestible when they are slowly broken down. Obviously, the lower heat as well reduces the rate of oxidation. So there's things when we barbecue or when we cook meat very quickly, it produces cyclic aromatic hydrocarbons and other sort of compounds that have been associated with, meat-related disease or disease that we get from consuming too much meats. So when we're slow cooking our food, we find that these compounds aren't produced, and also the fats and the like aren't oxidized and damaged. So the integrity of the amino acids, the integrity of the fats, and the integrity of the protein is kind of there ready for us, as close as it kind of should be.
All right. Well, look, Jack, I have had a hoot speaking to you from the other side of the country. You are just brilliant as a nutritionist. I'll be listening from home, and thank you for everything this year.
No, wait, Christine. I'll be popping them up on my Instagram as well, jack.gibson.nutrition. So for more tips, head there, and I will chat to you later. All the best with your pregnancy.
Yes, thank you. All the best with the pesto making. Jack,
Every day.
Jack Gibson, he's awesome. That was Greengrocer. After the